Hi, how are you? My name is Remember Chaitezi. I'm from Zimbabwe. I stay most of my time in South Africa. I'm a live sound engineer. I work on most high-profile events across Africa, like, for example, MTV Base is one of my clients. I do sound for them. I've done sound for many famous artists on on the African continent. In South Africa, I've done some for people like Yuma Sekela. In Nigeria, I've done some for people like P Square, Davido Debanj. In Zimbabwe, I've done some for people like Oliver Mtukudzi, Thomas Mapfumo, and the other countries. I don't even remember the name of the actual artists, but basically, I work on high-profile events across Africa. So today, welcome to my first recorded lecture. And today I'm just going to give an overview of sound engineering and basically how you can break down even some of the most complex sound setups you can see. Like, for example, this year I've worked with people like Lionel Richie. I've worked with people like the OJs. Last year I worked on the project for Justin Bieber concert in South Africa, as well as Bon Jovi concert in South Africa. And basically, from what I'm going to be talking about now, it's basically how you can break down even a complex sound system into like really basic things. But the thing with the sound is sound to some extent is about certain philosophies, certain ways of looking at things. And the moment you get that philosophy or that way of looking at things, it makes things make more sense or much easier to comprehend. So first things first, when someone hears sound engineering, they think of mixers, they think of microphones, they think of amplifiers, they think of speakers. Yes, when you hear sound engineering, these things do come to mind. Yes, it is true. But for me as well, before we even start about sound engineering, we need to first define what is sound, okay? And the simplest definition of what is sound is the vibration of air. Sound is basically the vibration of air. And understanding this basic principle, I believe it is also the heart. Because you will know if you want more people to hear, it means you need to move more air. If you want less people to hear, it means you have to move less air. But now if you've got a huge area to cover, it means you need more air to be moved. And just understanding this part for me, it also means as well that if you have a smaller sound system and you've got lots of people, it means you have to drive the small sound system hard enough to cover the entire audience. But then now if you've got multiple sources, it means you have to drive the system less and still cover the people. So all of that comes from this concept of that sound is the vibration of air. For me, this is the heart of it all. Understanding this basic principle, understanding this particular definition, and giving respect to it and applying to it every day as you do sound engineering really helps. But then now, when you talk about sound engineering, the systems, they seem very complex. I'm like, you look at a mixer, you look at these compressors, you look at all of these buttons. I'm like, you look at it, sometimes you can get confused. Sometimes your heart starts pounding. You don't know what to do, what to press, or sometimes you might know what to press, but then now under pressure, when people are giving you pressure, you sometimes just get confused. But one thing that helps to declutter everything is basically putting sound engineering in simple blocks, like getting things clear. And one of my personal things that I've done to basically make sound really basic is to break it down into three things. So sound is about three basic things, sound engineering, for me, when I think about sound engineering. And being able to break it down into three things makes it much more simpler for me to comprehend. It doesn't matter who I'm working with, where I'm working, even if they manufacture something new today in Japan and I have to use it tomorrow, I will still use it because I break it down into these things. And this, you can actually call it Remember's three-way breakdown of a complex sound system. So the first thing is input, okay? Under input, this is where we have our microphones. This is where we have our instruments. This way we've got like CD players, playbacks, whatever. So the input part is basically where the source is of our sound. And they also say sound is only as good as its source. And your job as a sound engineer is to best capture the sound from source and then have it being reinforced, basically it passing through the different electronics and then people be able to hear it when the speakers give the output. So in my three basic thing is from the input, we go to the processing. In the processing here, this is basically where you've got your mixers. This is basically where you've got your effects units. Basically, you got your crossovers. Basically, all the processing that you need of the signal, of the input signal. And then from here, it is the output. In here, you can have your speakers. In here, you can have your amplifiers. And basically, sound is about getting this signal, which is like that, which is that low. And then when it comes here, it is amplified, it is that loud. So that small little signal to come out there amplified. And what we are always trying to achieve with sound engineering, the most first basic thing is to reproduce what's been produced at the source, at the output. That is what all of these things are trying to do. People don't make all of these processing things just to make them complicated for no apparent reason. So whatever tool that you have, whatever device that it is, if it doesn't fall under here, to fall under here. If it doesn't fall under here, it will fall under here. Having this framework in your mind helps you better break down things. Without this framework in your head, when you just look at different devices, you just wonder, wow, what is that? But you don't know where it falls in the pathway. That becomes confusing. But then now, to even break this down further, I will use this example I read in one article some years ago. This is really brilliant. This is basically how you can break down any sound system into 5 different things. And so the first thing is the input, as it was in my three-way breakdown. So first is the input, which again is the microphones, instruments, it can be CD players, it can be guitars, different things that you have on the, it can be a voice, someone singing into a microphone. Okay, cool. The second thing is the mixer. The mixer, most people, mixer is basically, some people say it is the heart of sound. And from the mixer, you come to the processing. The processing, this is where you've got your compressors, effects units, your reverbs, your de-easers, your graphic EQs, you know, like this is where you also have your crossovers, all of that stuff. And then from there, we go into amplification. I'll just say amplifiers. Yeah, amplifiers. Now with technology, all of these things, sometimes you find some processing inside the amplifiers as well, you know, but the major component here is amplifying. And then the last stage is the speakers, the actual speakers. And when you look at this, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, with this 5 blocks breakdown, it doesn't matter you go to an event and it's for 100,000 people. It doesn't matter you go to an event and it's for 50 people. You will be able to break these things down into these things. But sometimes what people do is, as a sound engineer, someone can do sound for 20 years, 30 years, and they feel it's easier to do it for 50 people and it's more difficult to do it for 100,000 people. But the thing is, this is, if you actually break down the sound system, you find that it is exactly the same thing, but the only difference is at what level you're doing it. And the more you're able to look at things like this, is the more you can actually believe yourself that you'll be able to comprehend and then start applying yourself. But now, most the thing that really separates most sound engineers is how good they are with this particular stage and that particular stage, stage number 2 and number 3. This is one of the key things that really defines some of the world-class sound engineers, that sets them apart, because they basically know the functional part of these two places, and then now they take it a step further, being creative, adding the best value to the signal chain, and then that's when they get some of these very, very amazing results. But most people, they are really good on what mic to use and what. They're really good on what amplifiers to match with which speakers. But here, they just know the technical part, but they're a bit lacking in terms of being creative. So for me, I'd advise you that if you're able to grasp this particular concept, that you can break down any sound system into 5 things, which is basically the input stage, which is your microphones, instruments. The second stage is the mixer, which is basically where the balancing of the different channels and the basic EQs, all those things happen. And then processing, which is basically your graphic EQs, and sometimes in digital mixers, this part is also in here. So there's a bit of a mixing and matching between these 3 stages with the development of the digital age right now. But basically, the main things here is just the effects, compression, all of those things. And here, the amplifiers, which main job is after the signal has been processed, they then amplify this signal that it can drive the speakers to move that air so that people can hear. And your goal as a sound engineer, first and foremost, is to create a comfortable listening level across the plane. And also, something that I read some years ago, it says, a sound engineer's job is to get the best sound with the equipment available. And I hope just you being able to grasp this and you being able to apply it will help you basically move from a certain level of sound engineering to a world-class level of sound engineering. And never take the fundamentals for granted. And then I will just recap quickly on my three block diagram. This is the most simple block diagram. If I'm talking to someone for the first time, talking to them about sound, the first thing I'd want them to understand is sound. You can break it down into 3 things, which is the input, the processing, and the output. Because I know if I make it simple like this, they will understand how the signal flows. So it doesn't matter. Like for me, even if they make a device today and they bring it to me, all I have to look at is on this diagram in my mind, and I look at this diagram in my mind, and then I will know in which place am I supposed to place it in the signal chain. And yes, there are more things to it, but there are some things which are basic fundamentals, and this is really key. I hope this helps. If you feel like I need to talk more about certain topics, feel free to send me an email. You can follow me on Twitter. You'll see all the information down there on the screen. But basically, that's it. Thank you very much.